This section is what men and women need each other by text attacks. Like so, the link to the video will be the description below. Go in second match. So let's into this reaction in 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and by the title of this video, you already know what I'm about to talk about. Men and women need each other. Women need men. Men need women. And as a gay person,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm highly qualified to speak about this.
Really?
But the reason I'm making this video is because you see so much content online and so much political discourse
Yeah.
about how women need to be totally independent and do their own thing
Yeah.
and blah, blah, they don't need no man, blah, 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 blah. And you hear an awful lot of very strong language about men need to do their own thing and be independent and go their own way, and they don't need women. And you hear about the MGTOW movement, which you can Google later. But we are social creatures. Humans live in societies. Believe it or not, none of us survive just by ourselves. Not a
Yep.
single person on the planet is capable of indefinite survival on
True that,
on their
yeah.
own. You know, you need to have resources that are made by
Yeah.
professionals and medicine and all kinds of things. You need to be
Yeah.
educated, you need to be taught. And so the idea that you don't need the opposite gender is crazy. And obviously,
Really crazy.
I'm not just talking about relationships, I'm talking about society as a whole. I'm talking about living your life, having friends from different backgrounds. You know, I don't want to say the typical talking points like diversity is important and all of this stuff, but it
Yeah.
is. And the idea that one gender can somehow exist without the other is insane. Like
Really insane.
I'm not some radical leftist, or I'm not some radical person on the far right. I'm just looking at the situation and I'm looking at the divergence
Yeah.
of men and women, especially around my age. You know, a lot of men are very right wing and a lot of women are very left wing. And we're
Really?
seeing this like huge political divide, which is now leaching into our society and how we interact with one another. And a lot of people are kind of at this point where they're like, I'm just done with the opposite gender. And it's
Yeah.
like, we all have mothers, we all have fathers, we
Yeah.
all have brothers and sisters and friends and extended family
Yeah.
and coworkers and bosses and people we just have to interact with in society. So the idea that you can somehow isolate yourself from either society as a whole or from a specific gender and just say, ah, I don't need them. Like, I don't like their characteristics. I'm going to
Yeah.
stereotype them. I'm going to push them into the corner. That's insane. That's crazy to me. And as someone who is like actually attracted to the same gender, even I, especially I, understand the importance of women and, you know, the contribution to our society, what they do, having to go through 9 months of childbirth. There are so
Yeah.
many things that make me just amazed by the capabilities and the ingenuity and the amazing thing that is being a woman.
Yeah.
But I also see the awesome side of being a dude. Like, there's downsides to both, and I think anybody can tell you, yeah, there's definitely downsides to being a woman, downsides to being a dude. But
Yeah.
on the whole, I think this demonization and this stereotyping is really dangerous, and I think we cut ourselves off from so much potential, so many relationships, so many experiences in life. I've said it a few times, but my grandmother once said to me that we are on this planet for such a short little time. Why not try and get along with everybody? Why not try and lift people up instead of pushing them down, and helping wherever you can, you know, whether it's a political situation where you're volunteering and you're helping at a cause for breast cancer, or marching for equality, or, you know, whatever it might be, helping
Yeah.
your mom do the dishes, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
This whole concept that for some reason the masculine is the right way to go or the feminine is the right way to go. They're both required. They're both built in different ways. They're structured in different thinking, in different ideas, and there isn't an inherent error in one or the other. Like I said, don't get me wrong, there are issues on both sides of the aisle. You can argue that there's more issues on one side or the other. I might even agree with that. But at the end of the day, deciding that all men are awful or all women are awful, or there's some sort of parasitic relationship that is innate in relationships, it's so demoralizing, and it takes so much agency away from each individual person. I think people are really quick to say something like, all men are awful, and then, you know, that alienates a huge proportion of men who are just out there trying to do their best, supporting families, like whatever it might be, taking care of the kids. Like the roles don't have to be so concrete like they were 60 years ago, but it's also important to remember that whatever the role is, it is being done. Like the work is getting done. Like the obsession and the constant furor online with the Tate brothers, with, you know, radical feminist ideology, they both take it to such an extreme. And every time I hear them speak, you know, they might have one or two decent ideas like embedded in this massive tapestry that they have, but the vast majority of it is just a really bad way to live. And I always watch these people and I think, what an awful way to live, to see everyone, to call a spade and just to be like, nope, that's it. That's the only purpose for this particular thing. When in reality, there is so much unique inherent diversity within individuals, between me and some other guy, between a girl and another girl. Like there is such a massive difference in how we act, how we present, what we do in society, how we try to support people, and to paint all women in this really inferior box is so frustrating. And the same applies to men. Again, you can argue to a different degree. I'm not going to debate that because I think you're probably right. But just the constant vitriol and distaste between one another. You can look at how the presidential election went last year. You can look at whatever you want. There are differences. There are inherent biases that go against people for no apparent reason other than their gender, which is insane. But I do really think this villainization needs to end, and we need to appreciate the whole thing. And it's really hard for me to understand why people feel this way, because whether you grew up with a mom and dad or you grew up with a single mom, however you grew up, you will have encountered great role models on both sides of the gender thing in this case. And so I don't quite understand how people are coming to this purported ideology of, oh, the opposite gender is just the worst. Because, like, what? And the last thing I want to touch on is when you have this kind of like self-hatred for your gender, and you see this a lot as well with certain groups of men who really like hate men, and the same kind of thing with women. And again, hating your own gender is also ridiculous. Like, we are all different. We are all unique. You do not have to subscribe to the ideals of whatever gender is. If you do, that's fine, but don't put it on other people. Don't enforce it. Just do your thing. If you want to be a stay-at-home dad and you love vacuuming and cleaning and the stereotypes that are typically put on women, that's great. Do your thing. And if you're a woman who loves to get into the mechanical operations of a truck or whatever it might be, again, stereotypes placed on men, if they apply to you, that's great. You don't have to subscribe to the whole thing. But what I'm also saying is you understand them, and you can
Yeah.
be your own person but not hate the other gender
Yeah, you can be
for
your own person, yeah.
XYZ, you know.
XYZ, yeah.
Individuals generally are pretty easy to get along with. You know,
Yeah.
you're gonna meet some people who are just impossible to get along with on both sides,
Over there,
and
yeah.
that's a fact of life. But the vast majority of
The
people
fact
just
that
want to live their
yeah.
lives, and so demonizing everybody is just crazy.
Really quickly,
Life's
yeah.
too short.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
love each other, yeah.
Let me know what you think. Yeah, hopefully what I've said isn't too controversial, but who knows? Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, and as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.
And like, oh, what are we? You're one of my good videos, yeah. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe to Dex Attacks. Let them to 30k. Yeah. Go subscribe to Dex Attacks. Go subscribe. Let them to 30k. Yeah. That was why men and women need each other. The link to the video will be the description below. Go and second and drop a like if you like. And comment below if you want to see more reaction like this one. And subscribe if you're new, and click the bell so you can be notified when I upload in my bye. Oh, wow.